Okay, let's dive in. You think you have a pretty good picture of the Giza pyramids, right? These huge, iconic things. But then you hear about something completely new, not just, another artifact found in a tomb, but something discovered deep beneath them. And it sounds, well, pretty strange. According to the material we've been looking through, maybe even revolutionary, we're talking about these recent finds near Giza, these anomalous spheres. And the sources we're digging into, they're suggesting these aren't just like interesting curiosities. They could actually fundamentally shift how we see history, what ancient people could really do. So our mission here in this deep dive is basically to unpack what these sources are saying, why it's causing such a buzz, and how it challenges the standard story of ancient history.
Yeah, and what's really striking is how the sources frame it. It's not treated as some minor anomaly. They literally call it a seismic event. The whole idea is that finding these spheres could completely rewrite the books. It suggests ancient civilizations might have had technology. Well, technology we're only just starting to get our heads around today.
Right. And this is where it gets really wild, isn't it? Because we're not talking about like fancy carved stones. The material really hammers home the nature of these spheres. They're described as having this anomalous composition, something not naturally found on Earth, at least not that we know of now. What do the sources actually mean by anomalous composition? Any specifics?
Well, they're not always super detailed on the exact elements, But the implication is strong materials that just don't line up with known geology. It points away from natural formation. And it's not just the material itself. The sources talk about incredible precision and apparently a complex internal structure. This isn't like something you bash out with copper tools and muscle power. It screams, well, intelligent design,
Right.
engineering, something far beyond what mainstream history usually allows for that era.
Okay, so engineered spheres with weird compositions and crazy precision. What's the context here, according to these sources? They're just sitting there in isolation?
No, not at all. This is where the picture gets much bigger. The material ties these spheres into, decades of research on megalithic sites all over the world. The idea isn't that they're just isolated finds, it's that they might be parts of a much, much larger system. The sources explicitly connect them to the builders of the pyramids, yes, but also places like Stonehenge, Teotihuacan, suggesting these famous sites might be more than just tombs or temples, maybe nodes in some vast ancient energy network.
An energy grid.
Right.
Wow.
Right.
So the pyramids weren't just monuments, but maybe function like, I don't know, giant receivers or power plants.
That's precisely the idea the sources are putting forward. They propose that the specific alignments, the geometries of these huge structures, they might have been designed to interact with telluric currents, the Earth's natural electrical energy flows. And these spheres, the hypothesis is that they could be absolutely crucial components in that system, maybe acting as harmonic resonators or energy capacitors, even some kind of complex data storage for this ancient tech.
Okay, an energy grid. So if they had that, what kind of technology are we actually talking about? It surely wasn't just ropes and ramps then.
Oh, far, far from it, if you believe this material. This is where it gets, admittedly, very speculative. But the sources throw around concepts that sound straight out of science fiction. Things like zero-point energy, tapping the vacuum energy itself, anti-gravity propulsion, using sound, maybe resonant frequencies for levitation, and even, get this, interfaces that might have responded to human consciousness, intention-driven tech.
That?
Yeah.
Well, that kind of tech would explain moving those impossibly huge stones with such accuracy, wouldn't it? Not just dragging them, but maybe making them weightless or guiding them with sound.
That's exactly the conclusion the sources are driving at. They suggest these spheres might be the missing key, the Rosetta Stone, maybe, for understanding how they pulled off these incredible feats. They might not just be parts of the machine, but could actually hold the blueprints,
Right.
the schematics, or even the operating instructions for these lost technologies.
Which brings up something else the sources mention. How does this supposed ancient super tech connect with what we're trying to achieve today?
I mean, we're pushing hard on quantum computing, fusion power, new materials.
It's a fascinating parallel, isn't it? The material definitely highlights that humanity now seems to be nearing breakthroughs in areas that sound uncannily like what this ancient civilization might have already mastered. And the speculation presented is, well, it's pretty mind-bending. What if the ancients did crack limitless clean energy, or revolutionize transport, or manipulate matter in ways we can barely imagine? And what if these spheres hold the secrets to doing it again? You see, the overarching idea from these sources, the thing they believe discoveries like the spheres will eventually prove, is that the ancients saw the universe differently. Not as, separate mechanical bits, but as this deeply interconnected web: energy, consciousness all linked. So their technology wouldn't have been just about gears and levers, it would have been holistic, integrated with nature, maybe even with the mind itself. Okay, let's pull this together then. Based on the material we've gone through, what are the main takeaways from this deep dive? First, obviously the discovery itself, these anomalous spheres. Unique composition, not natural, incredible precision, pointing to some kind of advanced engineering.
Second, yeah, the idea that they're not just standalone objects. They're potentially components in a huge, maybe planet-wide ancient system, an energy or communication grid linking megalithic sites.
Third, this central theme in the sources. Yeah. That this is all evidence pointing towards a highly advanced precursor civilization, which, if true, would force a massive rethink of our historical timelines.
Fourth, the kind of technology being hinted at, zero-point energy, anti-gravity, sound levitation, consciousness tech, things that could explain those ancient engineering marvels.
And fifth, the really intriguing speculation that the spheres themselves might contain the actual knowledge, the schematics, the operational data needed to understand and maybe reactivate these lost abilities.
And finally, that weirdly compelling link the sources make between what the ancients might have achieved and what our own science is reaching for right now. Like we're rediscovering a lost golden age of knowledge.
The significance, as the material really stresses, is just enormous. If we could unlock whatever secrets these spheres hold, it wouldn't just mean technological leaps, maybe unimaginable ones. It would force us as a species to completely reevaluate our past, our history, our potential.
Exactly. And building on that, the perspective from the sources goes deeper than just tech. It suggests this ancient understanding integrated technology with, well, the fundamental laws of nature and maybe even the human mind, consciousness itself. So digging into these spheres isn't just about potential gadgets. It could lead to a massive shift in how we see ourselves, our place in the cosmos, the very nature of reality.
Which kind of leaves you with this really provocative thought, right? Something the sources definitely put out there. If these spheres genuinely hold the keys to technologies for limitless energy or for revolutionizing how we move around or other things we can't even conceive of, what does it really mean if some ancient civilization already had all that?
Yeah.
And what happens if we actually figure out how to unlock it again? It's like what's an exciting and maybe slightly terrifying possibility hinted at in this material.